Okay, here we go. Here with Anthony Bui-Tran, um, a very successful seven-figure private label seller who, out of college, was able to build up his private label business. Welcome, Anthony.
Hey, what's up, guys? I am Anthony Bui-Tran. For those of you who don't know me, I met Dang what on the internet what like 2 years ago maybe or something,
Yeah,
just
a
random.
little while ago.
Yeah, but somehow through the Facebook Amazon community, we just like met. But yeah, my story is a day to 100 people, right? But then I was like, and then I read about this thing called Amazon FBA where you can ship one box of like 500 items just to Amazon. They'll take care of it. And, tried that out. That was that. And I was like, I'm hooked on this because it's just like, it's so much easier than like dropping everything off at the post office every day.
Mhm.
So I just had to ship one box a week. And that was like my little taste of how I got into Amazon, basically. So I think Abraham said, "What are we expecting from this webinar?" This is a live Q&A, so whatever questions that you guys have for me, whatever questions you guys have for Dane, whatever questions you guys have for Dickinson, yeah, feel free to ask. But other than that, I guess I'll just share a little bit more about my story. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
What
yeah,
were you selling on eBay?
I was selling. So I would go to stores like Ross, and I would sell a lot of socks. I would flip a lot of socks. So socks are just flipping online, hats, shoes, like whatever I can get my hands on at really like the local like thrift markets, department stores, and like Ross type stores, like just like discount stores. And I would just sell those like online really onto eBay, and then that's how I just kind of learned about Amazon. It was pretty funny. 'Cause the reason I also got into Amazon was like I was like I'm selling on eBay, but I'm buying a lot on Amazon. So I was like, like I buy everything on Amazon. And it's funny, Fernando and Nick had this epiphany too. They're like, oh, like we're just gonna start an eBay business. But then they're like, wait a second, we buy everything on Amazon. And I kind of had that epiphany too when I was younger. And well, I guess not when I was younger, but like 2, 3 years ago. And I was like, okay, this is the way it should be, and this is what I should do. So
Yeah, you're. I definitely feel like the old man in this 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 Q&A session that we're having here.
okay, yeah. Dang, how old are you?
I'm 35.
35, and then
Yeah.
Dixon, how old are you?
23.
23.
I think we might be the same age.
I'm 25, so uh,
Okay.
um, almost, like I think, I was 22 when I first started my Amazon journey. So, I mean, it's great, Dickinson, that you're starting like now, because it's pretty similar to when I started. So
Yeah.
hopefully, like, path just keeps going up and up and up. And it's really cool that you're starting the personal brand thing, or like just reaching out to other people in the industry right now, because everyone watching this webinar right now really understands that, like, hey, learning from other people and connecting with other people is one of the fastest ways to just like really accelerate your Amazon journey, right? Like if you want to learn more, you want to skip the line essentially, right? You just find a mentor. And that was one of my big moves for like this year in 2018. So personally, I got to the seven-figure level by myself, but I realized that growth from there was like kind of getting a little bit hard. As I mean, it is hard right now, right? Like, how do I get to the eight-figure mark? Is what I want to do. That's my goal right now. To get from 1 million to at least 10 million. I don't know how fast that timeline is, but as long as I'm going up and up, I'll be happy with that. But yeah, my thing is, I basically got mentors, and that's how I was kind of talking to you guys about like Fernando and Nick. So Fernando and Nick, if you guys don't know, are like two other speakers that are going to be speaking at Dang and Dickinson's conference up in Canada next week, Saturday, Sunday, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Saturday, Sunday. So it's gonna be all of us hanging out there, and we're all gonna be touching upon different things. But I really like naturally like kind of sought them out for mentorship because we just had a lot of fun together, right? So at the end of the day, like, you know, you really want to like work with people or connect with people that you enjoy hanging out with, you connect with. Nick and Fernando, they're my mentors now, and I met them through the Facebook group, you know, just like one of these kind of events. And then I met them live in New York, and then I had a pop-up, you know, event in LA, and that's where they showed up. And then I saw them again one more time in China at another pop-up event I had in China. And then next thing you know, it's just like, hey, can I like learn a little bit from you guys? And as of right now, I am sitting here in LA, California, sitting in their conference room. So just living here like for free, just absorbing like everything that they can teach me. And we're all working on like a digital course together. And that's the main reason where we're all here together. But it's really funny to, I guess, seeing like me teach them stuff and for like them to teach me a lot of stuff, you know, like the trade value is pretty good on my end. I'm pretty happy with what I'm getting out of the deal, but you know, it's cool. Like they're learning too. And they're learning more about like the social media space, influencer marketing, which is what I'm going to be talking about next week, which has some really, really cool stuff that not a lot of people are doing in the Amazon space. I think one of the issues with a lot of sellers, like Dang and Dixon, like I don't know what your experiences are, but like, do you guys know a lot about like running traffic, outside traffic as Amazon sellers?
I have no experience in that, but Dang has a ton.
Yeah,
So Dang,
this used to be my old career. It was driving
Okay.
traffic. So
Yeah. Did you do SEO or what would you do?
yeah.
Okay.
I did SEO.
Okay. Yeah. And then that's the thing with like, as Amazon sellers, we're spoiled. Honestly, we are. We don't ever worry about traffic.
Yeah.
We, as an Amazon seller, you know, there's going to be people shopping on Amazon. But if you have your own website or in any traditional e-commerce platform, it's just basically you are, you know, like you're like a town in the middle of nowhere. You're not like New York with like a whole bunch of people like flying towards you, you know, and visiting your city day in, day out. That's what Amazon is. You're like the town that's in the middle of nowhere, like up in like north, like New York or something, you know, in countryside. And with influencer marketing, what I'm talking about is it's just a way to like drive traffic and drive really targeted traffic. And it's just kind of, it's, in my opinion, it's just really, really fun to do just because you get to connect with like people in your space that, in my opinion, you like admire, right? They're influencers, just people on like on YouTube, Instagram, or whatever it is. And you're just like, hey, I got this really cool product that your audience is gonna love. Like, trust me, like I'll give it to you for free. I'll do a giveaway to your audience. We'll make some videos on it, or we'll just make it happen. And you just drive traffic to your Amazon listing that way. And you know, they get a good deal out of it because they get affiliate commission, and then you get more sales, and you know, you get more reviews, and you know, more sales is always better for everybody.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about? I know when one of
Yeah.
the first big things you had was your balls to the walls strategy.
Yeah.
This is trademark, guys. Trademark, by the way. So your balls to the wall strategy, and then now you've pretty much like transitioned to like influencer marketing, building traffic outside of Amazon. Do you want to talk about kind of like what led you to that point? This is kind of a multi-tier question, but are you still doing that balls to the wall strategy? And then kind of what made you decide that you want to transition to influence marketing?
Okay, so it's going to be like a 3-part approach to this question. So one, I've been here in LA, you know, being mentored by, you know, 8-figure sellers, and I realized that they, you know, have a different way of launching products. It's similar to mine, but there's a part right before it that's like kind of different. And that's something like Nick is going to really touch upon at the conference, and go dive really deep into that. But essentially, he doesn't go 100% and they don't use a launch service. If that's crazy, I don't know. That sounds kind of, I don't know. It sounds crazy to me. When they told me that, they're like, we don't use launch services all the time. It's only if they need to. And it just blew my mind. But essentially, they have their own method with like, it's like very heavy PPC and a lot of other stuff. And then if that doesn't work, then they'll do the balls to the walls method. And then for me with influencer marketing, I use that to supplement launches. Like you can use it in conjunction with launches, or you can just use it as a long-term plan. And what I mean by that is, okay, well, I guess I'll backtrack a little bit, but you want me to talk about the bottom to the wall strategy
Sure.
first, and then
Yeah.
I'll just
Please let us know. For those of us who don't know what that is, maybe touch on it a little bit. And
Okay, yeah. Just bounce those questions for me because it'll help guide me. But yeah, so the balls to the wall strategy is just a thing that me and my friends call our product launch strategy, and it's just us going super, super aggressive when we launch any private label product, right? The whole theory behind it is that if we send so much traffic and so much sales to Amazon, they have no reason to like doubt that we belong on the first page of Amazon along with everyone else on the top. What I mean by that is if if you guys have like Jungle Scout and tools like that, you guys, once you run Jungle Scout, you see like what the guys in the top 10 are doing, and say maybe they're averaging 3,000 sales a month, so that equals 100 sales a day, right? Okay, just make sure my math is right. But 100 sales a day. So if you're doing 100 sales a day, like our competitors doing 100 sales a day, you have to do 100 sales a day in order to get that keyword rank position, right? Because why would Amazon give, the keyword rank position on a first page to someone doing only 2 sales a day, right? Amazon's in the business of making money. Amazon's in the business of giving customers a better experience. A customer has a better experience if they're buying stuff, right? If the conversion rates are high, right? Whatever is good for the customer is also good for Amazon. Whatever makes Amazon money, like it all correlates. So like, how do you replicate that? So with the boss to wall strategy, it just involves being very heavily aggressive in doing a lot of giveaways or really discounted products in order to replicate that 100 sales a day, right? And we push it for about 7 days to 14 days, depending on what your budget is and what your numbers are. And that's like how that strategy works. But the beauty behind all of this is, I think, the spreadsheet I made about this is, so there's a Boss Your Wall spreadsheet you can find within the Seller Tradecraft Facebook group or the YouTube channel. We'll probably leave it in the comments below or something after this. But essentially, it's important when doing this, if you're giving away like 1,500 units, you want to know exactly what your numbers are. Right? You want to know how much you're giving away each day, how much it's going to cost you, and when you're going to break even. So that's the most important part. I think a lot of sellers on Amazon are very worried about making money tomorrow, right? They want to make money today, right? The goal, in my opinion, is to make money in a month from now. Maybe 2 months, like that's really pushing it. But in a month, like if I can break even on like the rest of my inventory, I'm a very happy person, right? And this is something else I learned throughout, going to conferences. And there's this guy named Russell Brunson. He's like a big fan. He's this guy from like ClickFunnels, and he talks about like running traffic a lot. And there's this thing that I want to apply to the Amazon space, right? This methodology, this mindset. And his company throws a party, like a massive party, if they ever have a break-even funnel, right? If their funnel if they can put in $1 million, right? And they get out $1 million, they're happy, right? Because that means they're just going to put in $5 million, $10 million, like whatever it is. Because if you're spending $1 million on a promotion, and you get $1 million back, the side benefit of that is like you just spent $1 million on a brand awareness, right? So that means like a lot of people are going to see it, and then that means you acquired $1 million worth of customers for free, right? So on the back end, you're going to get all these reviews, you're going to get email lists, and all those things like residually over time. So if you can like suck it up and just break even for a while, it's going to really hurt your competitors too. And it's going to help stick you in that top rank position, essentially. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah,
Anyone?
definitely. I think a lot of people don't really come with that mindset when they're launching products. Like, okay, I need to make money like right away. I need to recoup as much as possible right away. You found
That's
a lot of
but
you found a lot of success with this methodology. You want to talk about kind of like the next phase of it?
The next phase of it. So I mean, the strategy in itself sounds kind of crazy for most people when they first start out, because they're like, oh my God, I'm giving away $15,000 worth of product. But with like the spreadsheet that I had, it's like, you're gonna give away $15,000 worth of product, but you know you have this much inventory left. How much are you gonna make once you bring the price back up and once you stop doing the giveaways? It's like, oh, okay, like I'll actually make $1,000 next month, or like $1,000 by the end of next month. But you have the most important thing, the keyword rank position, right? That's the most valuable real estate on Amazon, and it's worth more than like anything else you can really do. So there's things you want to do to maintain it, right? And that's why I use influencer marketing. So, with Amazon's algorithm, you want to just juice sales. Sales are going to be the main thing that will keep your rank, right? Sales and conversion rates. So the way we combine it with influencer marketing is essentially, I don't know, there's a lot of different ways to go about influencer marketing, but my personal favorite is using YouTube. So YouTube is very evergreen. And what I mean by that is on Instagram, on Facebook, if I post something on my Facebook wall, how often will someone see me talk about a coupon? Like how often will someone scroll all the way down and see my coupon code I posted about like, oh, hey, buy this product, right? Or like, this is my review on my product. But on YouTube, people don't watch videos in order. That makes sense? People watch videos like, they're like, oh, I'm interested in this video. I'm gonna go watch this one, right? I'm gonna go watch this video. It's not like, all right, I'm gonna watch the newest video and then that video and then that video. People watch like what they're interested in. So for like a lot of product reviews is one way to get influencer marketing. Another one is just like have depending on what the influencer's like channel is. So say like they they're like airsoft people, right? They like love airsoft guns. If you could be like the number one, like you sponsor their channel, which is what I do with one of my brands. I sponsor their channel. They have 5 million subscribers. Some of their videos get anywhere, at least 1 million to like 13 million views. But under every single one of their videos, there's a link that says, hey, this is my favorite airsoft gun, or hey, this is my favorite Nerf or whatever, or my favorite airsoft this, Nerf this, or paintball gun this, like whatever it is, right? And like people will click on that and it's evergreen, right? So think of all the views on one video, 13 million views. All right, what if 0.01% of those people click on your link and then buy their product, right? And that's what I have going on with my brands. So I personally, what I like to do with the influencer marketing is I'm like, hey, depending on like what a product is, like say it's like a replenishable product, even better. You're like, hey, I'll give you X amount for free every single month. Just keep my link on your YouTube channel, right? And then this like really adds up with like, like you come from like an SEO background, right? So having all these like different backlinks from like, high authority websites such as YouTube or possibly their website is going to be really nice, right? And it gives you like an extra residual steady amount of people who purchase your product, right? Especially from outside traffic, because that's what we also seen with launches now. And that's why ZonJump is like a new popular launch tool, because they use Facebook traffic to launch products, right? Instead of going from a deal site, which, generally deal sites don't have like so every website on the internet has a rank, right? Has a rank. So like Google is like has a rank of 1 because like they're like, if Google says something, it's legit. But there's all these spammy websites on the internet. So like those spammy websites have like a rank of like 100. So closer you are to 1, the better, right? So YouTube is like really up there. And so when you have these links flying in from Facebook or YouTube or social media sites, it just juices the algorithm a lot better, especially when outside traffic purchases it, because Amazon knows it's like, hey, like people are like buying this from like off of Amazon too, so we should make it higher on Amazon. Mm-hmm. And it's just all like this little circle that intertwines, and like that's really like how one of my brands has like really like taken off. As soon as you get one influencer, get another influencer, and then another influencer, and then they start coming at you, like, and you don't really have to pitch as much, So it's like, hey, I already work with the biggest guys. Like, you want me to work with you too? And it's not that bad.
I have a few follow-up questions to this. So when first off, how are you finding these influencers? Are you simply searching? Are you using software? Or using a network? How are you finding people who will promote specifically your product?
Okay. Give me a product, for example,
Uh,
or someone in the audience. Give me a product,
These like
niche, whatever you guys
cell
want.
phone cases, swords. Let's do swords.
Swords. Okay.
Japanese samurai.
Japanese swords. Okay, right. Japanese samurai swords. All right. Actually, can I? I can probably share my screen, right? Let me do that, and I'll just do it live. Actually, that way you guys can actually see how it works. Let me load it up first.
Yeah, you should be able to share it.
Yeah, just let me load it because I know the screen gets like super slow once you start doing stuff on it. Okay, so Japanese swords. All right. You said swords, right? I'm just gonna say Japanese swords. Let's see. Okay, that's pretty funny. Okay, there's some funny influencers on here. Okay, there's an influencer for like everything on this planet. So like,
There really is, man.
there really is. All right.
Riches are in the niches.
Yeah, let me know when you guys can see my screen.
Yeah.
All right, so right off the bat, you want to think about like who your target audience is, and then sometimes you can just literally type in what your product is plus reviews, right? So Japanese swords reviews, medieval swords reviews, and then you kind of just go through these, right? And you notice this guy right here has three videos on the first page, and he just reviews these swords. So off the bat, this is a guy I'm gonna go check out. But if you've never done influencer marketing before, contacted YouTubers, it's not that hard. So you just go into their profile. Of course, you kind of want to watch one of their videos just to make sure they're gonna align with like the type of influencer you want. So say you're selling like a Japanese sword on I don't know, can you sell swords on Amazon?
I don't think so. I don't think you can sell weapons, no.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's like this guy, right? You want to see how much this guy has almost 1 million followers, right? I personally love dealing with like micro influencers. So I think anyone above like 50,000 is really good. I mean, the bigger the better sometimes, but it's easier to work with smaller ones because they're more excited. They like love getting free stuff because it's they're like, I don't know. It like for me, like when I started getting like access to like free Amazon tools and everything, I was like, yes, like this is really cool. I'll go promote it. And then now they like come like left and right. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, I have to pick and choose and really like understand like which ones I want to work with and like which tools that I think is best to like actually tell my audience because it's a reward on the line. But these guys are going to be their brand ambassadors. So next thing you do is you go to About. And generally speaking, in the About section, they're always going to have some details such as, okay, well, this one doesn't have it. So he doesn't actually have his content. Oh, well, there's always a send message button right here. But on certain people, they'll have an email list here, right, for like inquiries. And then that's all you have to do. You just contact them. And there's a couple ways to have a partnership with them and contact them. But you always want to be very personable in the very beginning. You want to like contact them and be like, hey, I saw your video on this and this and this. I thought this and this was funny about it, or like I thought it was really intriguing, right? So you give that feeling like, hey, I actually watch your stuff versus like, hey, just promote my stuff, right?
Creating a relationship first, creating like a dialogue instead of just, hey, I'm trying to sell this product. Can you help me pitch it? Because that usually never goes.
It's just a personal thing because, I mean, think about it. Okay, at influencer marketing at the end of the day, it's the same as relationship building with you and your friends because an influencer in your life has probably built up like some sort of relationship with you. Like you've seen his content a lot, right? Like you guys on this webinar, you guys, respect Dane and Dixon. Like you've seen their content, you've seen what they're doing. So at the time, Dane and Dixon are like, oh yeah, this is Anthony. He's legit. You guys, follow him, follow his YouTube channel. It means a lot more, right? Especially if you guys are like, hey, I love this restaurant. That's like the easiest one. It's like, I love this restaurant. Yeah. And it's the reason you guys have Yelp in Canada, right? Yeah, okay. I don't know if that was a dumb question to ask, but Yelp, right? If you have friends on Yelp, they'll automatically, if they've been to that restaurant you're looking at, they'll automatically pop up at the top, right? Because it's so much more personal. if I'm like, oh dang, my best friend like loves this place, you know, and it's like, okay, like cool, like I'll respect it more. So same thing with these influencers, you know. You build relationships with them and their audience, like too, right? And at the very end of the day, you always want to position them to make them look good. It's not about you, right? It's not about you at this point. It's about how you make them look good. It's like, hey, can we do a giveaway to your audience where we give out like 5 swords, right? And we do one every month, you know, and it's like something they get to do, and they're like, hey, this channel is sponsored by blah blah Anthony Swords, and this month we're giving away this brand new sword from Anthony blah blah, and then he just hopped into the video, right? But they get trained, right? They get trained to know like, oh man, there's gonna be a new giveaway every month, and like, oh, there's a new sword he's gonna talk about, and like that's just and like for him, like I don't know, like any influencer loves being able to give away free stuff.
Yeah.
Right. It's like if you guys are like, hey, like let me give away like free tickets to the conference. It's like, oh, yeah, cool, you know.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all, and like it brings value to people, right? Especially that target audience.
I think that's the biggest thing is making sure that their audience is taken care of. That's probably, you know, the first and foremost. That's probably, you know, the most important thing is to make sure that they're able to offer value to their members, their group first, their audience first, before you try to monetize your products.
Exactly, and then that's generally like how it works. Let me see. Any questions so far? Okay.
Do you stick with YouTube? Do you go, okay, I found, you know, 3 or 4 influencers on YouTube. This guy has a very cool Instagram channel, or this guy has, you know, great pins on his board on Pinterest.
Yeah. So personally, like I haven't explored YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and those other channels as much, but do not knock them, right? But the thing is, working with those channels, it's more work, because on Instagram, it's not often people, like if I post it, it'll be like really hot for maybe like 72 hours, like a pitch, right? And influencers on Instagram, they charge by the hour, depending on like some of them, right? The bigger ones, they're like, all right, for a 4-hour post, we'll leave it there, and then they delete it.
Oh,
right. Yeah, so the big ones, they just delete it after. They don't want it on their feed because it like I don't know, it crowds it up with like ads, and you know, people just don't like ads kind of. Yeah. So the big ones will like do that. But I've been working with this company, and all they do is influencer marketing, and they did 30 million last year, and I'm managing their Amazon accounts. You probably never figure out what brand they are on Amazon, because we launched it under like different brands. But what they sell is they sell bras. They sell these strapless bras, right, with a string in the middle, and it like, you know, makes women's like boobs look a lot better, you know. And all they do is like a ton of influencer marketing. And I met them through like one of my masterminds. They're like, how do we do Amazon? And I help them with Amazon. But those guys, all they do is influencer marketing on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, because the power of paid traffic is super, super powerful. Mm-hmm. And they do a lot of like, their products are very visual based, right? So if your product is very visual based, then it's going to work very good on, especially with beauty, fashion. Instagram is going to be like the main one. But don't knock YouTube ever. Like if I was going to focus on 2 channels, it would be Instagram and then YouTube, in terms of traffic and whatnot. The good thing about Facebook, Instagram, it's owned by Facebook, so you can run traffic to it. Right? You can run very targeted traffic towards like for promo with that person. Mm-hmm. With YouTube though, like in my opinion, because on Instagram it's like they post it, and if they don't delete it, then it's gonna be gone in, I don't know, it gets lower in the feed, right? Yeah. And you have to just scroll down. It's like, how often is it relevant after, you know, if they're super active on Instagram, mm-hmm. then they're just gone after like, you know, I don't know, like after like 30 days, they just have
a few hours or a few days, right? Yeah.
It gets buried. And that's what I'm trying to say about YouTube. It's like, it's not about watching content in order. It's about watching whatever content like you find interesting, whatever clickbait title like looks really cool, or the thumbnail looks really cool.
Good point.
So those people would just like watch it all the time. So that's why I like YouTube.
You made a really good point that I want to reiterate is like, go where your audience is. Like, find out where your audience is hanging out. If it's YouTube, if it's Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, different websites, different forums that they attend, or they go hang out at, then visit those places and get your message out in those places. A couple follow-up questions I have to this is, how much do you pay them? How do you know how much to pay them? And then what type of ROI are you expecting from this? And I mean, is it something that you can even like try to predict, because you don't really know how an audience is going to react to, or someone's audience is going to react to your products, right?
Yeah, true. So there's different ways to work with influencers, especially if you want to track it, right? When I first started doing it, I did it more because I just wanted the brand recognition, and in return, the money came. But you can start off with, like it's you're spending money on this. So in terms of compensation for influencers, I personally don't ever like to pay money. I only like to give a ton of free product, basically. I'd rather just give you a ton of product, give your audience a ton of product, and give a whole bunch of discount codes. And generally speaking, most people in my niche like enjoy that. In terms of paying YouTubers, if you're gonna get in a beauty niche, and I think there's this, my friend, she works in New York for, I think Chanel or something, like one of those big like women brands. I think it's Chanel, and Chanel paid this YouTuber named Michelle Phan for 2 episodes, right, on YouTube about their products, and each one was 200 G's. They paid 200 grand. But this chick has like 15 million followers, right?
Okay.
These are not the people you want to go after at our stage.
No.
The people you want to go after are the more micro influencers, right? You can try contacting them, but just know that those deals, I mean, it doesn't hurt to try contacting, especially if you have a very unique product, then maybe they'll just do it because it's cool. But, for YouTube, for me, like, I just like going after, like, hey, here's a bunch of free stuff. Here's a bunch of free stuff for your audience. Like, and that's the way I approach it. For YouTube, you can expect, I don't know, it just ranges. Like, YouTube is going to be actually more expensive than all the other platforms too. Keep that in mind. Why? Is because, like I was saying, it's more evergreen, right? That video stays on there like forever, and it doesn't really get clogged down as much as something like Instagram.
Yeah. There's no reason, there's no need for a subscriber to go delete that video afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. And then I know for like channels such as what do you call it? Like, okay, so the broad people that I work with, their company is called I can't think of it right now. But the influencers that they work with, for example, one of them is called WordStar Hip Hop. You heard of WordStar Hip Hop? Okay, WordStar Hip Hop is like this big, like, I don't know, like urban, like hip hop, like website, right? And they have a huge following. They paid $5,000 for a post that lasted them, I think it was like 12 hours. Right, one video post on Instagram was $5,000, and that's like a really high traffic channel, right? I don't know what the exact ROI on that stuff is for them, but they make their money back, right? But essentially, at the end of the day, those people, if you can break even, that's what it's about too. Like, keep in mind, if you break even, you should be happy, because that means like, hey, like, $5,000 worth of people, like, you got maybe like, I don't know, 100 impressions, and you gain 1,000 followers, right? Yeah. Then those are like 1,000 potential customers at the end of the day that you acquired. So remember, acquiring customers is key, right? Acquiring customers is key, and that's how you can like really build out your brand. So if you're, and then that's the good thing about influencer marketing, right? Depending on what path you want to go down the Amazon route, and as like the writing on the wall is like, you want to build a brand at the end of the day, right? You want to just make yourself different, be the premier person in the space that, like Anchor, they sell batteries, but, there's also like 1,000 other people that sell batteries. But the reason Anchor's on top is like their branding is like key. I wouldn't say they probably do a lot with influencer marketing that I know of, but you know, if you wanted to go down that route, like that's why there's certain like beauty, you know, like makeup brands that are like really big because they're perceived as really high because they're used by certain influencers, you know. And that's just how influencer marketing works. And influencer marketing is a skill set that will never end. It's never going away. And in today's day and age, it's only getting bigger and bigger because of how interconnected like our planet is, right? The fact that, you know, I'm sitting here in California, you guys are in Canada, you guys are in different rooms, and we got all these attendees from like all over the planet just like watching this video right now. That's just like what it is. And, you know, anyone watching me like on here, just, you know, that respects my opinion, I'm like, hey, you should, you know, try influencer marketing, or you should try this tool, that's influencer marketing happening. It happens every day in your life, no matter what you think. You are always being influenced by something. Right.
Yeah. It's so true. It's like the Yelp, like the restaurant thing you were talking about is like, oh, I'm looking for a new sushi restaurant. Like if you're going to come to town, hey, dang, like, let's go get some sushi. What would you recommend? You know, when 95% of people who are now going to go purchase something, they want to search online first. They want to see what their friends have to say. They want to see what the reviews are like. So you're right. It doesn't go away at all. And kind of a follow-up I had to this was I think one of the most important things about influencer marketing is that not only are you building traffic outside of Amazon, but you're also building up your brand. Are you, so taking this into, you know, having this in mind, are you now kind of building your own audience off of Amazon, your own email list, your own website traffic?
Yeah, I am. So my goal is to actually sell off one of my brands that I'm working on, and I want to build more assets, right? So anyone in the business that wants to get in the business of buying and exiting or selling and exiting a business, having more assets such as an email list, social media channel, influencers that you're connected with. And you can be like, hey, this is the ROI and this is like what comes with it. It all adds up to evaluation, right? And so that all adds up. And there's other things that I'm actually really excited to start implementing, especially because so like sustainability and like giving back type of practices, right? And what I mean by that is companies that have some sort of brands that have some sort of I forgot what the term is.
Social responsibility.
Social responsibility get a way higher evaluation than companies that don't, because those are the companies that, and I really do believe that companies that don't have it in like the next 10, 20 years, that don't really push like corporate responsibility, they won't be as strong, right? They'll be like kind of outweighed by brands in the future, just because millennials tend to resonate more with brands that just have a story. Like it doesn't have to be a social responsible story, but just a story. It's just like, you know, these T-shirts were, you know, made, you know, by like my mom and this is our family story of how we got here. It's a simple black T-shirt, you know, and it's just like, okay, it's like, I like him. I'm gonna support him. Like he's an influence in my life, you know. So we're like, okay, cool, black T-shirt. Like I'll buy it, you know. Things like that.
Yeah, it's a good point, just because people resonate with people who are genuine. Like if you step on stage, or if you have, you know, you're pushing out, you're launching products and you're just trying to sell to people, and at the end of the day, like our group was founded because because there was, you know, we didn't want to have the approach where it was always just, hey guys, we're trying to make money from you, and so like we built something up where it's organic and building up an audience. And I really want to approach my private label business like we have with our own Facebook group, you know, very organic, very you know, providing value, providing content, and it's like what you said, even on a corporate level, with their stories and with the corporate responsibility, it's just another sense of like building community and showing that like you're more than just a company that's trying to get dollars, you know, out of pockets from your consumers.
Yeah, and then I'll tell you about one of my favorite influencer stories that brands on Amazon. Look, when you can tell me and everybody else what you sell and what you stand for, everyone helps you. It's so much easier. Like, because like the thing right now in the private label industry and what I don't like, and it's something I'm working towards too. And I think a lot of people have this dilemma. It's like, man, like, you know, I'm selling this product, but I can't tell anyone because it's like a secret and it's competition.
Yeah.
But once you build that brand, you have that influence, right, in the space. It's hard for people to come in, right? You build like a little mount, or is it called a mount, or what is it called? Like a castle thing?
A moat.
A moat. You build a moat around them. People can't get in that, right?
Yeah.
And if they do, they have to work a little bit harder, right? Like if you have a castle on top of a mountain, and it's just like they got to go all the way up there and compete against you. So one of my friends, he sells a coffee grinder, right? A ceramic burr coffee grinder, super, super good. If you look up coffee grinder, he's probably like top 5, to be honest, on Amazon. I'm pretty sure. He makes $180,000 off his product like every single month, right? You can try to compete against him. I encourage you, but you're not going to beat him. Because he does influencer marketing like super well, and he reaches out to people in the wellness space, right? And those are like his biggest raving fans, you know, people who are about mindfulness. And then that's what his coffee grinder is about. That's what the story he pushes. All right. And so when he goes to, and this is the other thing, don't always go to Amazon conferences all the time, right? You know, do a couple, but like try go to other conferences. And I'll go to other conferences, and me and him will go together, and like you'll just connect with other people that have like, say, like a podcast, or like, I don't know, they have their own like website or something about spiritual wellness. And he's like, yo, I got this grinder and this is my story about it. And they're like, yo, like I would love to like talk about, have you on my podcast. Let's talk about your coffee, la la. And then like, it's just easier. People help you when you can say like, hey, this is what I sell. Like, this is my story. You know, people come to you, you know, and that's one of the things that's going to make your life way easier once you can get to that point. But I mean, of course, like, don't shout to the top of the world, like right away that, hey, like this is my product, but, you know, choose like the right people you trust that, you know, that are really going to help you out. And at the point where I'm at now, it's pretty nice because I know what a lot of my friends sell and what niches they're in. So if I want to launch something in the baby niche, I'm like, hey, can I legitimately, I'm like, what we've done is I sell it under their brand, right? I sell it under their brand. I pay them like 1% royalty fee, but I get to use their email list, right? I get to use their Facebook pixel, right? And like, it's just way easier to launch, right? And then they just put it as a cross sell on their products. And it's like, you know, like when you scroll down, you just like buy 2 or buy this with this and get 20% off.
Yeah.
We do that, you know, it's just like brings more traffic. There's all these little things really add up. And at the end of the day, what's really cool is, say he decides to sell that brand, right? You're helping him out by rolling up extra like revenue into it, right? So the more money that brand has, the bigger the valuation is going to be, right? And, you know, it can be a win-win in that situation. But, you know, you have to be mindful of like, hey, who are you, you know, getting into business? Like, so at the end of the day, you know, like I wouldn't say that's like something you should do with strangers completely, but that's just a reason why like we're on this call and like people are going to the conference, right? Because people want to meet people in person and build these genuine relationships, because that's where they're made. Like online relationships are like great, right? But like it's meeting someone like you met online in person, and then like, you know, just like,
your relationship online only goes so far. And like I have a quick story to tell you guys. So I don't know if you guys know, but originally Anthony could not come speak at our conference. And so last month, Dixon and I met Anthony for the first time in Phoenix. We were there for Robin Johnson's event, and Anthony was kind of just driving through on his way to LA. We met up for dinner, and you know, in person, we could corner him, be like, hey, you know, you need to come speak at our conference. You know, we can't do that when we're, you know, so far away on just this on a live.
Legitimately, that's what happened, guys. Like I was like, you know, like I'm kind of tight on my schedule. Like I really came to California just do one thing, and then, you know, I've known Dane, right, pretty well, like online, and, you know, like just meeting someone in person, and he's like, dude, like if someone comes up to you and they're like, I really want you to come speak, right? And Dixon was there too, and it was a very genuine way of like the whole situation, and it's, I was like, man, all right, like it's not like he's like trying, I don't know, like murder me or like rob me or something, you know? Like, all right, you know, like I'm going to Canada. It's going to be fun. I've never been to Toronto. Like, why not? So yeah, so this is how this call is happening, and this is why I'm speaking, next week.
Yeah. There's a huge audience that's thirsty for this type of content that you're providing.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah. No worries. And it's something like I think a lot of people don't really talk about too much. Just because I don't know, it's like I said, as Amazon sellers, we're like spoiled. We don't really worry about traffic, but if you want to get that extra juice, right? That's what you want to really focus on. Like what outside traffic could like really be a lot of fun to do. I think it's really fun. It's like, oh man, it's like kind of saying like, I don't know, like Tony Robbins or like someone you really expect, like Elon Musk just endorsed my product, right? But of like whatever like your niche is. So it's kind of cool the way it works out. And the more people you start like working with in a space, like the more like your like reputation grows, and you're like, all right, like the other guys are gonna be like, hey, like how do I work with you? I want some free stuff too, like your stuff's good,
Yeah. It's I like the fact that we've kind of created like a parallel between like us meeting and having you come to our conference, and the parallel with like when you're developing a product and trying to build an audience and reaching out to influencers, you're essentially doing the same thing. You're just creating relationships and connections with people. That go much farther at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the best thing is like you can only talk about your product so much, right? Before like I don't know. Okay, look, when someone goes on stage, it's never like, hey, I'm Anthony and blah blah blah. It's like it's gonna be like Daniel Dixon's gonna be like, all right, we got this guy coming up on stage, blah, blah, blah. He's Anthony, like he's an awesome seller, blah, blah. Someone else like hypes you up, right? And the same thing happens with influencer marketing. There's just so much you can talk about your own brand, but it's so much more powerful when someone else besides the brand talks about you, right? Especially if they have more influence and you're like, all right, like I respect that. And it seems less salesy at the very end of the day. And everyone just hates being sold to nowadays, and that's just how it is.
Okay, we got a couple of questions here. How do you go about inspecting your private label products? What are the costs involved, and have your inspection being correct, or did you still get defective products?
Okay, Raj, I think, are you still on this call? Yeah, Raj is still on the call. So Raj, when it comes to inspecting your private label products, yes, you do want to inspect your private label products, especially the first time you ever deal with a factory. After that, I do it like randomly. Like I'm like I feel like doing one like now, like every like fourth shipment or every third shipment or so. You want to keep them on their toes on that. And then in terms of the company that I use Richforks, and then I also use like my team in China, depending on like what location the goods are and what warehouse it's going to. I have all these resources like listed in my crafting guide in the Seller Tradecraft channel. But in terms of costs, it can range anywhere from, depending on how simple it is, $150 to like $1,000. With the median for most people, I would say like it's going to be like expected budget around $350 for inspections. But there's super major key. Do not skip out on that, right? Please do not skip out on it. Like you want your products to be like 100% good before you ship 1,000 of them over the ocean. And it takes 30 days, and it gets to Amazon, and you're screwed. Right? You want to make sure right there at the factory, that spot, like, hey, like you guys need to fix this like ASAP, and that's the easiest way to do it. And your suppliers are going to take you more seriously. Like if you don't check them with inspections, like they're gonna be like, this guy like we like maybe like cut some corners a little bit. I don't know. I never had a bad experience with suppliers. But I also do think that my team in China does a really good job of making good relationships at the end of the day. So, I mean, I've had like maybe like a batch like seems like they have like a higher defect rate, but never anything major, right? And
having defects is kind of just all a part of it, like with mass production.
Yeah.
It's not a, not exact science.
That's true. So, but the thing you want to look out for, it's hard to like really measure defects, but you want to look at your return rate, right? month on month and see what the average is, right? So your return rate, ideally, you know, you want it less than 1%. I mean, 0, of course, but if it starts like increasing a little bit, right? So this is one of the things my VA looks like. They like to check if return rates go up. If return rates are going up, then like something's going wrong, right? And you need to start ordering like your stuff or doing inspections or just telling the factory. Like sometimes like we'll just tell the factories like, hey, the return rate went up, and you know, like just let them know. Like it's really important to like communicate issues like that. Maybe it's not a huge amount of defects, but like you want to tell them like, hey, like you noticed this, like take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I know there's a few people in our group who are looking to go to the Canton Fair this year.
Yeah.
I know you've been several times. Do you want to speak on the experience a little bit? Maybe some tips, some pointers, some things not to do.
Yeah. I can totally speak on that. And like as a matter of fact, we're having a group trip come with us to China in April. So I'll go to China and I'll go to Vietnam in April, and we're probably gonna do it again in October because I think we're speaking at Global Sources, the conference in Hong Kong.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, going to China. All right. It's gonna be an adventure. It'll be fun. It'll be like kind of dirty. But at the end of the day, if you've never been, it's an adventure. It's fun. I went for the first time last year, right after I quit my job. And I was there for about 1 week. I recommend like 2 weeks, to be honest. 1 week was a huge rush to get through everything. But like off the bat, I have a YouTube video about like some tips in China. But some of the tips I talk about is get your visa done early. Most likely you want to get the 10-year visa, which I think is about $300. It lasts you 10 years. Super simple. Make sure your phone is unlocked before you go. So if you've got iPhone, whatever it is, call them and be like, hey, I need to get my phone unlocked. If you're on a payment plan, you might have to pay it off, right? But you want it unlocked. And then depending on how long you're staying, if you need access to like Facebook and Instagram, like American websites on your phone, you want to get a SIM card in the US before you leave. And there's different SIM cards that they sell on Amazon that will give you access to, that connects you to Hong Kong servers or something, and then like they bypass like the Great Firewall of China. To backtrack it down that a little bit, in China, Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube, like all that stuff does not work. There's Chinese variations of that. So if you need your Gmail account to talk to suppliers that you meet at Canton, you need a VPN on your computer and on your phone. So VPN is a virtual private network. So think of it as like a tunnel that bypasses through the Great Wall of China and maneuvers through it, and then connects you to the US or Hong Kong servers so you can access like your Gmail account. That's pretty key, especially use Gmail, which majority, 99% of people do. So yeah, there's that. And then going to China, just make sure you bring comfortable shoes if you're going to the Canton Fair. If you're visiting factories, I highly, highly recommend visiting like any of your factories that you have out there. It's an awesome experience and a very humbling experience to just see where your products are being made, right? And just talk to the guy and build a relationship with him. Like I haven't seen one of my factories in like over a year now, and I remember the first time I met him, it was so much fun. They generally pay for most things. From what I understand, they'll pay for like your hotel or the train ride to come visit them, and they'll get dinner with you, lunch with you. If you're really cool with them, like you go karaoke with them. That's what I did. That was an experience in itself, like karaoke in Asia, where no one knew English. Like, so my right hand man in China, he's the only guy that knew English, like basically my entire trip, right? So all the factories I was working with, they only knew Chinese, so it's like we were just middlemaning the whole time. But you talk with body language and like have fun. And I was singing English songs. They had no clue what was going on. They were singing Chinese songs. I had no clue what was going on. But it was just a really good time, And that led me to like getting net 30. So now I don't have to pay for my items till 30 days later, right? Because they trust me, they understand me, they know my story, and they know like this is like I kind of have like I need them, right? Just as much as they need me. When I went, and then another humbling thing about it, when I went over there, I came there to be like, hey, you guys changed my life. Like I quit my job, like this is happening, and you go over there and I don't know, like one of my factories was like, hey, like we just got a new factory, my kid's going private school now, blah blah, you're our biggest customer. I was like, holy crap. I was like, I didn't realize I changed your life too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
as like
that's awesome.
you think about yourself a lot as, you know, a human being. It's like you forget to put yourselves in their shoes and like how you're helping them. So, you know, like don't forget, like we're doing them a favor too at the end of the day by bringing them business. You know, like let them focus on the factory stuff while you know, make money online and help grow their business too. So
I
that's
think
cool. So
I think the underlying theme of this webinar is build connections, build relationships with people.
yeah, that's all it is.
A
That's
quick
all it is.
follow up to that. Now that you have, maybe you've done this before, or maybe you know you're doing it after, now that you've met your
Yeah.
manufacturers in person. But do you ever get
Mhm.
them? Like, do you bypass the third party freight forwarder part and get them to ship directly to Amazon on your behalf? Have you ever done that?
So I have a team in China that kind of does that. So the factory will ship it to my team in like
Oh, okay.
Guangzhou, and they'll import it to like wherever it needs to go, Europe, Canada, and US or whatever. But yeah, you can have factories go straight to Amazon, but you want to do that in my opinion. So what I always do if they're shipping any new factory that ships straight to Amazon for me. Generally what we do is we ship a small batch first, right? I never like ship like a huge batch. I'm like, just ship this and then ship the rest to like my team and they'll ship it. Because I mean, of course, like it's the more people that touch it, the more expensive it gets, right? But ideally, I just want to make sure they know how to basically do it. I never had issues. I never had complications. We have pretty good like SOPs in place that we like sent to them like, hey, this is like what the boxes should look like. And my guy in China like made a video of like him like putting label on boxes and he's like, this is what it looks like, and palette should be like this. Make sure, you know, things like that. And like I personally don't even know all of those details, to be honest. As scary as
Well,
that
you don't
sounds,
need to.
but
I mean, you don't need to because you have
yeah,
the team in place to take care of that for you.
yeah, true.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that team? Like, how did you find
Yeah,
them?
yeah,
There was a question from Dana here. How did you find your team?
yeah,
And maybe
yeah.
what members or roles is the team that is made up?
Yeah. So Dana, the way I found my team is not going to be the same story as most people, I think. So I was personally trying to source a product from China. I was trying to source electric disposable toothbrush heads. If you have an electric toothbrush, you need to change the tops out. And the guy I was working with, his family owns a factory, so he was the guy there. But his name is Chris, and you know, we like chit chatted, and you know, it was good. It was building relationships, and essentially I didn't decide to do business with him because he was like, I don't know, like 25 cents higher than like everyone else. But this, you're talking about like buying 15,000 products. It adds up, you know? So I was like, no, like your quality is just a little bit better. No one's going to know the difference, but you know, like their service is great. And then, so I ended up not doing business with him and went with someone else. And then, he was like, oh, okay, well, like, sorry, like our price wasn't competitive enough for you, but I can guarantee you the quality is better. But if you ever need to find anything else, please let me know. So any of the factories that you're working with right now, if the person's not maybe the head of your factory or just actually the person, whoever you're contacting right now, ask them like, hey, I'm looking for this product, like this other product, I'm looking for a cup or like, I don't know, like some other toothbrush thing. Be like, hey, do you know someone for this? And that's where like the relationship started. He offered me that. He was like, if you ever need to find anything else, like let me know. And I was like, okay, I'll try it out. And the way I did it was I was like, all right, can you find like this like Bluetooth speaker, right? And I already found a couple quotes, right? And then I just told him like, go find it. So I would blind test him. I'd be like, all right, see what you can do, essentially. And you know, sometimes he would get a price better than me. Sometimes he wouldn't. Sometimes he would find the same exact price as me, same factory as me. But the thing about having a team overseas is they'll give valuable insight. Like, this guy's easy. Like, they'll be like, this factory is like very professional. They're easy to deal with, and they're located in the right region, right? And sometimes, like, you know, like to me, like a lot of these cities in China all sound the same. So if they're like, you know, oh yeah, this toy is being made in I don't know, like in Beijing. Beijing doesn't make toys, you know, like it's made in Shanghai.
Mhm.
So they, you know, like little things like that really help. And, you know, they can really evaluate if like it's a big factory versus a small factory, right? And,
Mhm.
you know, smaller factories, like, in my opinion, I like working with smaller factories because you can kind of, I don't want to say bully them, but you just have more bargaining chips at the table, right? You got more poker chips to bring to your table. And it's just like, hey, like I'm getting at 30, cool. All right. If you're not the big fish at, you know, the factory, they're going to be like, we're not going to give you net 30. Like we have like all these other big guys that buy way more than you, and we don't even give them net 30, you know? But yeah, that's how I found my team. But if I was going to find a team, I would do a lot of testing on Upwork. Upwork is probably the easiest place to find them. It's generally best if you can get a full-time hire that just works for you, sourcing like nonstop, right? And you can expect to pay anywhere from 1,200, I think, on the cheap end to like 2,100, right? In my opinion, and that's like what some of my friends play. They pay like 2,100, and they're like, "Yeah, I love this person. They're freaking great." But one second, I gotta get my battery charger real quick.
Sure.
So, yeah.
If you guys have any other questions for Anthony, we're just approaching an hour, but if you have any final questions that you must ask, please do so in the chat, and then we'll get him to answer it when he gets back. I believe that's monthly. Monthly.
What is monthly?
The 2,100 a month for
Yeah.
for a sourcer.
Yeah.
There's also a question on Facebook Live thing.
Okay. Do you want to? I don't see it, but do you want to ask it? There's many, Lenny. There's many different landing page softwares that you can use. I know Zon Pages is one. I use Zon Pages.
Yeah, I personally use on pages too. For if you want to keep it super simple, use on pages. If you want to get more advanced and technical with it, click funnels, right? But expect to pay more, right? And expect there to be like slightly a learning curve when using ClickFunnels because it's a lot more powerful. You want to add like pixels and you want to do A/B testing, and that can be like a whole like job in itself, right? But if you want, you know, just straight easy, Zon Pages is what I recommend.
Okay. Another question for you on Facebook here. Byron wants to know, for your products, do you focus on one particular niche or just look for opportunities? I guess,
Okay.
maybe just to elaborate a little bit on that. So your sourcing guy, do you say, find me, you know, healthcare products only, or do you say, find me whatever you can that will net me a profit?
So I am still in a phase where I will sell anything. I think it'll always be like this for me until like I have a really strong brand or I happen to find a lot of products related to that brand. So I will sell anything that makes money. So I have stuff like in every like single category. So I'm like toys, home and kitchen, beauty, home improvement. Yeah. So it's just like they're all over the place, like one-off products. And it's just, in my opinion right now, like I'm just trying to build the cash flow up. And then I'll start competing more like in like the different brands. And one of the things like I really learned from Nick and Fernando is like when people build brands and they launch other products, like you want to like cannibalize yourself before other people in the space come in.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is if you're selling like a product, right, you want to be the first one and be like, let's make a 2-pack, 3-pack, 4-pack. All right, let's make all the colors, right? Even though they like, some of them like don't really do that much money, but you're going to take all that real estate and you're going to be like, competitors are going to be like, if you can stop someone from even considering to private label your product, like against you, then you win.
Yeah.
Like if you can stop your competition from like, even like wanting to compete against you, then you're good.
This is the moat that you're talking about developing. Making sure that everything on your listing is legitimate, you know, good pictures.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of private label sellers who are looking for like Me Too type products are, and I know I've done this in the past too, is like I'll look at an industry and I'll choose, people, 4 or 5 sellers that have reviews, but something that can
Mm-hmm.
be improved on the listing. But if you have those things taken care of, then if I look at it, I'll say, oh man, these guys are private label sellers. These guys know what they're doing. Why would I create a higher barrier to entry for myself to enter a market versus something
Mm-hmm.
that I can just take over, a little bit more easily.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you build your moat, right? Yeah, and that's what it's all about. Any big company wants to be like, if you're in business, right? And like, you want to make money, it's about how do you become a monopoly, right? Like, how do you become a monopoly in the industry? Like, of course, monopolies are illegal, but that's generally your goal in capitalism. Like, how do you become the only provider of what you sell, right? And that's kind of what you want to do. Like, how do you become like the only item on the front page, like the only brand on the front page? Um, or like a more sneaky way of doing it is like, this is what we did with my friends with the Perfect Scope, the broad brand, is we launched 5 different brands on Amazon, and they're all on the front page. But you think we give the illusion to the customer, like, hey, these are 5 different brands. I mean, each one of them are targeted at different demographics. One is like white women, blacks, Hispanics, Asians, right? We use different models on the front cover. And that's like one way of doing it, and we tested it out and like it worked, and we're taking more real estate on the first page.
Yeah.
And it's like, you see all these brands are like, that's tough. There's so many people competing against this. Really, it's just one guy.
Yeah,
But this happens to everyone when you go to, say you're at Walmart or whatever store. P&G is the greatest company that does this. Procter and Gamble. When you go buy laundry detergent, no matter who you buy, you're probably buying from Procter and Gamble at the end of the day. Like Bounce, like Gain, Bounty, or I don't know, all those brands. They're all owned by Procter and Gamble. At the end of the day, you're still paying the same person. The same person is getting money.
Illusion of choice.
Yeah.
And what's interesting too is in Google's search engine, like I think 95% of the things that you search for in terms of like products are all owned by like 16 companies. A really interesting article I read for, probably a conversation for another day, but you're right. It's like the illusion of choice. And that's a good way to kind of, you're saying, cannibalize your own traffic before other competitors can kind of jump in to do it.
Exactly. And like I don't know, these are things that I didn't really learn until I met other people that thought about things like this, right? And it's not until you really meet people from other walks of life, like non-Amazon conferences or Amazon conferences, that you get to hear like different theories and different thoughts, and you're like, oh, like this is where the money is made in between the lines. What I mean by that, it's like right now we're all learning how to do Amazon really well. But like, I feel like I do Amazon pretty well, so I don't attend as many Amazon conferences as I used to. So what I do now is I go to just whatever conference. I'll go to traffic conversion. I'll go to these like personal branding conferences, because you are good at this. And when you meet someone like that's really good at Facebook ads, and you combine the two, then that's where the money's made. That's where the magic happens. It's where all the cool stuff happens. And yeah, I mean, that's your competitive advantage, right? Because, like, you're never going to be an expert, like, in 2 different things, right? Just be an expert, like, stay in your lane, find people to, like, drive alongside with you. Yeah. So,
I highly recommend that too. I recently went to a mastermind meetup here in Toronto, where I was the only Amazon seller. Don't get me wrong, I love my Amazon people, but like when we're working through our business every day, we're in our own Facebook groups. I'm in your Facebook group. I'm just surrounded by Amazon sellers. So to be the only Amazon seller there was a little bit refreshing, and I got to meet a ton of different people who are doing so many other successful things, not on Amazon. So it's just, also interesting to see that side of, their side of business as well.
Yeah, it's super, super interesting for sure.
I got a question from David. Are you using a lot of ClickFunnels to generate sales?
Yeah, so this is like, I'm going to tie this into my presentation a little bit with influencer marketing, but I really, really enjoy using ClickFunnels to, like I said, with ClickFunnels, okay, the goal with ClickFunnels is to gather emails, right? To gain a customer for free. That's my goal. My goal is to gain a customer for $0. And back to what I was talking about earlier, I don't know if you were on the call, David, but it's all about making a break-even funnel. How can I spend, $5 in ads and also ship them, a product that costs $5, right? Or how can I spend, a dollar in ads, spend $5 on my product, and then spend like $4 on shipping, charge them $9.99 for the item. So that means I still make 99 cents on the item. Well, I guess with Stripe transaction fees, it's less, right? But I still make maybe say I make 5 cents on that. The thing with ClickFunnels is it's like, hey, like come buy this. Let me backtrack a little bit. So like one of my favorite funnels that I build, and we're thinking about like gauging like the interest in this as a service, is we build free plus shipping funnels. So what this means is you're gonna see an ad. You may see an ad on Facebook. It's like, hey, I'm gonna give you. Usually it's like it depends on the price point of like an item, but it's like, hey, I'm gonna give you these headphones for free. Just help us with shipping, right? But say like these headphones, the price point of these are just like $5. And then, it costs me $9 with all the fees to ship it to you. But I'm like, hey, just help me with shipping for $9.99. So I make 99 cents on you. But throughout the funnel, right, it's all about maximizing your average cart value, right? So average cart value, ACV, right, is a term that the people use. Is what that means is, how do I get more like stuff in the checkout? Like how do I bundle with this? Or how do I get you buy 5 of these headphones? So during the checkout process, the first thing you're gonna see, it's like, all right, you can get one for $99.99, or you can get 2, or you can get 3, or you can get 10, right? For all you and all your friends. And then all of a sudden at the very bottom, there's an order bump, right? There's a little thing at the bottom that says, this works good with drop shipping items to test your market. And you're like, you can get the speaker too for just $27. And some people are gonna be like, okay, right? So they'll click on that, right? So even though like maybe sometimes people lose money on the first item, right? But as long as the person buys more than one item or they buy the order bump, then you make more money, right? And then on the next page, there's usually an upsell, and it's like, hey, do you want to buy the Apple Watch, right? And it's like a higher ticket item, and some people are gonna be like, okay, like why not? Like I'm already spending all this money, like I'll just what is like another $20? And that's like really how like I use ClickFunnels in my business in ecom. And what that does at the end of the day, even if like I make money on all that, but say like majority, some of the people are just gonna buy one, right? What that happens though is you gain a customer and you can email market them forever, and you can combine them with Facebook to build there's so much like ways to do outside traffic. There's this thing called pixels on Facebook. For you guys that are not familiar with it, Facebook has these things where basically someone visits your webpage. It's kind of like a cookie on steroids, right? That's what Facebook pixels are. Facebook pixels like just track your data. And everyone on this planet has a profile, right? Everyone's like, Facebook has a profile on everyone. So if I can find 1,000 people on that have bought this item, I can tell Facebook, I'm like, hey, can you build a lookalike audience, right? Which is a feature in Facebook. What that means is, so there's 1,000 people who bought this. Find me people who are 1% different than the demographic of people who bought this. So say the demographic of people who bought these headphones are like Asian, 25, live in LA, has whatever number of credit cards, blah, blah, has a girlfriend, like is an entrepreneur, likes cars. Like you can choose all that on Facebook. That's why Facebook will never go away, and like that's why you should put some money in Facebook stock. But essentially, you tell Facebook, find me 1%, the people that are 1% different. So it's like the exact same person, but hey, maybe maybe it's like I'm not Asian, right? Maybe they'll test like a white dude, or maybe they'll test like someone that has a different car, but they'll find someone. Every person has a profile on Amazon and not Amazon, Facebook, and Facebook will be able to build a 1% lookalike audience, which equals like generally anywhere from like it'll find you like another 1 million to 3 million customers, right? So based on all the people who just visited your website and bought it in the first place, you can tell Facebook to find more people like that, and it only gets stronger over time. The more data you feed the pixel, the more of like a demographic, like a customer avatar that it can build, right? And the stronger that gets, the stronger the pixel gets, the stronger the funnel gets, the more money you get, right? And the ad costs start going down, and cost per acquisition of customers go down.
And that's kind of like the premise of ClickFunnels, is basically just developing a bunch of different funnels, because people will, like Anthony says, like some people might come to a page and they'll buy a product, but some people, a large percentage of people will come to the page and they're not ready to buy a product. So if they go down that route, then you send them a different message. So because there's so many different touch points, you will there's so many different touch points, you will create funnels that kind of speak to those many different touch points.
Yeah, exactly. So
I know you mentioned here that you got to go. I mean, I know we're like 15 minutes past our scheduled time anyway. So it's probably a good time to end it here. Thank you for your time, Anthony. I really, really appreciate it. You're a world of knowledge, man. And I look forward to hearing your talk and seeing you again in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, and like I'm like super honored to they have you like bring me out to Canada and put me on a stage and just really keep talking about the stuff that we're talking about like here, but in person, but on a more deeper level, right? So I'm gonna be talking about influencer marketing. So all of you guys that are don't have plans next weekend, maybe you guys come to Toronto, come meet me, come meet Dang, come meet Dickinson, and come meet all these other sellers, right? At the very end of the day, I always knew that after college, basically, I knew I had to keep reinvesting my money in education. One of the things that I have, and funny enough, like I don't really like, I learned it from Ty Lopez, but like I have mixed feelings about the guy. But he did teach me this one thing. He taught me that with every paycheck, I forgot what the percentage it is now, but I put in $200 from like whatever it is every 2 weeks, right, into this fund. And it's called my education fund. So anytime I feel like I want to go to a conference, I want to buy a course, I want to invest in a mastermind, I want to pay for some coaching, I don't feel bad, because I know at the end of the day, if I keep investing in myself, then I'm going to grow more as a person. And, that's what it's all about. So, yeah.
Definitely.
I hope
Do you have
really,
any, last minute conference tips for people?
For me, like, I don't think I like naturally I'm an introvert, right? But at conferences, like you really got to get out of your shell. Like this is just how life is. And I think a lot of people in the make money online space are naturally introverts. And we might grow to be that way just because we don't interact with a lot of people. We're just in front of a screen all day. Yeah. But, make those in-person like connections. Like when you're at the conference, like it's not, I mean, like it's going to be good to listen to the people on stage. But the people to your left and people to your right, those are going to be the people like who you connect with for like a long time, and that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
So just really connect with people to the left and right. The breaks, go talk to people. No one's going to get mad at you for walking up to them and being like, "Hey." Like it's, I don't know, it's like a weird thing.
They're all there for the same reason. They're all there for the same reason anyway.
Exactly. You guys are all there for the same reason. Just learn and improve yourself, right? You guys are all reinvesting in yourselves, and that's why you guys are coming. And that's what Dang, Dixon, and I believe in. And if you guys are watching this right now, you guys understand the message, and that's why we're all doing this. So.
And I don't know if people know this. I'm the biggest introvert in the world, and I'm getting up on stage. So if I can do that, you can come and talk to people too. But once again, Anthony, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And we'll see you soon.
All right. See you guys. Bye.
Okay. Take care, man.